Welcome to the deep dive. So, you sent over some really interesting bits on Jean Baudrillard on his whole concept of simulacra.
Yeah, fascinating stuff.
So the plan today is basically to figure out, what are these simulacra? How did he think they worked? And, well, what does that actually mean for us looking at the world?
Right. So at its simplest, a simulacrum is just like a copy, an image or representation.
Yeah, a copy.
But where Baudrillard takes it is he argues these copies can kind of take over. They become so powerful they replace the original thing entirely.
Replace it.
Yeah, until you've got copies without an original. It's like the fabrication becomes the reality itself.
Whoa. Okay, so how did he map this out? The notes mentioned 4 stages of representation.
That's right. 4 stages. The first stage is basically a reflection of reality.
Reflection, like what?
Think of, say, a really realistic painting of a landscape. Everyone agrees it's a picture of something real.
Okay.
The copy is, faithful. It points directly back to a profound existing reality.
Got it. A clear mirror. So stage 2, that's perversion of reality.
Exactly. Now the copy starts to mess with reality a bit. It still refers back to something real, but it distorts it.
Distorts how?
Propaganda is a classic example. Or maybe an overly idealized portrait. It takes real elements but twists them, pushes an agenda.
So reality's still there, but it's being bent out of shape.
Precisely.
Which brings us to the 3rd stage. Pretends to reflect reality. Sounds like a bigger jump.
It is, because here the image looks like it's representing something real, but that connection is, well, it's fake. There's no real substance behind it.
Like the theme park example, mimicking an old town.
Exactly like that. It has the appearance, the signs of historical reality, but none of the actual history or, lived experience. It's just surface.
All show, no depth. Okay, and that leads to the 4th stage. Pure simulacrum. This is the really mind-bending part, isn't it?
This is it. The pure simulacrum, it doesn't pretend to copy anything real. It doesn't distort reality. It actually replaces it.
How does that work?
It has no reference back to any reality whatsoever. It becomes its own reality. Baudrillard called this hyperreality. Hyperreality. Yeah. Think about maybe a brand name that only exists in movies, but people become so familiar with it, it feels more tangible than some real products.
Right. It's generated its own kind of existence.
Exactly. It's a sign without an original reference.
So Baudrillard's big argument was that we're increasingly living inside this 4th stage, surrounded by these pure simulacra.
That was his point. That modern life with mass media, advertising, all of it, it pumps out these simulations constantly. And they become so pervasive, so dominant, that telling the difference between the simulation and, well, whatever was real beforehand gets really difficult.
That makes you think about something like, say, Disneyland, that idealized fantasy world. Sometimes it can feel more real, more intense than just normal life outside the gates.
Absolutely. That's a prime example he used. It presents itself as this imaginary place to make us believe everything outside it is real. But really, the hyper-real fantasy inside is setting the standard.
And social media too, right? Everyone curating these perfect-looking lives.
Oh, completely. You see the simulation of an ideal life, often hiding a much messier actual reality. It's a performance.
Yeah. And advertising.
Yeah.
It's not just selling a product, is it? It's selling a feeling, a lifestyle, a simulated desire.
You got it. Attach the desire to the object. And celebrity culture fits in here too, doesn't it? Media shapes these personas.
Which might have very little to do with the actual person. They become simulations of themselves.
Right. Performing the image.
So, okay, pulling this together. What are the big takeaways for someone listening? What are the implications of living in this simulation-heavy world?
Well, the sources really hammer this point. It fundamentally challenges our ideas of truth, authenticity. If so much is constructed, how do we even know it's real anymore?
That's a heavy question.
It is, and
Right.
it brings up power too. Like, who gets to create and control these dominant simulations that shape how we see everything?
Yeah.
And you just see the lines blurring everywhere, don't you? Between fiction and reality and politics, news, entertainment, how we shop. Have you noticed that yourself?
It's impossible not to notice, I think. That Baudrillard quote you flagged really captures it. Simulation is no longer that of a territory. It is the generation by models of a real without origin or reality. A hyperreal.
That's the core of it, the hyperreal. It's not just about being tricked or lied to.
Yeah.
It's more profound. It's like a cultural condition where the representation itself has become more important, more real than any original reality. It's a closed system of signs referring only to each other.
Like that Hall of Mirrors idea. Just reflections bouncing off reflections.
And the original thing, if there ever was one, is long gone. Or maybe irrelevant, meaning gets kind of slippery.
Yeah.
Which leads to Baudrillard's, quite haunting insight. Maybe what we call reality today isn't really real in the old sense. Maybe it is just simulations stacked on simulations.
Wow. Okay. That's definitely something to chew on. So maybe the final thought for everyone listening is, as you go through your day, just notice the simulations around you. Think about what that means for your sense of what's true, what's authentic, where do you find the real, or does that question even make sense anymore?
A good place to leave it.
Definitely something to ponder. Thanks for this
Okay.
deep dive.